All right. Welcome, everybody. This is 4 ways for students to elaborate on their thinking. We'll talk about why that's important for students, why it's important for you as a teacher, especially this time of year. It's getting down to the nitty gritty, and you're getting into a routine now, and it's you're trying to sort out, okay, what are the most important things? I probably am not going to get through my entire curriculum in the same way. So what are the most important things? And now that I have that, I need to figure out what the students know. And elaboration is actually really cool for students anyways, just as a learning strategy. We'll hit that a little bit later. We'll share lots of resources. We're going to show you 4 specific technology tools. And for those who are interested, we'll actually do kind of a test drive of 3 of those together. So yeah, so that's wonderful. Let us acknowledge the land that we are on. The Alberta Teachers Association acknowledges Treaty 6 territory, the ancestral and traditional territory of the Cree, Dene, Blackfoot, Saulteaux, Nakota Sioux, as well as the Métis. We acknowledge the many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit peoples whose footsteps have marked these lands for generations, including the many places that you are joining from around the province. You might be in Treaty 8, Southern Alberta, Treaty 7. I'm in Treaty 6 territory, from Spruce Grove here. We are grateful for the traditional knowledge keepers and elders who are still with us today and those who've gone before us. Our recognition of this land is an act of reconciliation and an expression of our gratitude for those whose territory we reside on or are visiting. So thank you so much for joining, everyone. I've got some slides. If you've come to any of the webinars I've hosted in the past, I've got some slides. You can see a short URL there. And hey, the Zoom group chat actually works a lot better with some recent updates. You can actually copy stuff out of the group chat now. The hyperlinks seem to be working again. Let me just type the bit.ly in there. Probably should have started off the session with a little bit of vanilla ice, you know. No, sorry, that was a terrible bad. I won't even. But anyways, yeah, we're here to learn about elaboration and why getting kids to really explain their thinking is such an important one. Oh, is anybody else finding my audio choppy? Yeah, let's sort that out right away. I turned my mic up. I know in a previous session my mic was too low. Audio is fine. Oh, sorry, Adam. Hopefully I'll try not to yell. Is it just like feedback, Adam, or what is it? Like, is it coming in too hot? Okay. Anyways, on we go. Yeah, but at this point of the year, we need to know what students know or what they can do. We need them to demonstrate it for us. It's a lot more difficult when they're not with us. So some technology can help with that. And we'll focus on 4 of those today. Okay, guys, before we go any further, as you may know, we have a waiting room for these sessions because we want to avoid the Zoom bombers. So I've got somebody in the waiting room named Hermione Granger. Should we let her in? Or him? Should we risk it? Definitely. Okay. I am only partially responsible for what may happen next. She's going to be like, what is happening? All right. All right. Welcome, Hermione. We weren't sure whether to let you in, but with a name like that, we had to. So we pray that you're not a Zoom bomber and you will be kind and well behaved. Oh, Hermione's got her mic unmuted too. I'm going to mute. If you wouldn't mind just keeping your mics muted, everybody, and that way we'll keep the background noise down. Yeah, so we've got 4 great tools here. We're also going to talk about why it's important to elaborate and some good resources on how to sort of some good prompts for getting kids to elaborate, as well as some hands-on demos. So let's fire this up here. So if you want to, just hit that bit.ly/ATA elaborate. And if anybody else needs that URL throughout the session, if any of you wouldn't mind typing that back in the group chat as we go on. So yeah, we're going to do some live demos here wherever we can. So let's just jump right into this. We're going to talk about elaboration as we go, but let's just start off with a really cool one. Now, you guys have seen Screencastify before, where a lot of teachers have been using this, especially in this remote learning environment where you want to record your desktop. Getting that extension to kids is sometimes a little bit challenging for a variety of reasons. There is the terms of use, I think, say age 13, I'm not entirely sure. That those age restrictions don't really apply to Canadians, to be honest with you. I've had a lengthy discussion with the Alberta Privacy Commissioner. It's super complicated. Regardless, getting that extension on student devices, with a Chrome browser, Chromebook, Windows, Mac, Chrome browser, actually even have a new Edge browser for Screencastify. It can be challenging, then they've got to have an account, etc. This just makes it all easy. So if you want students to record their screen, this makes it easy, and I'm going to prove it to you because I'm going to send you guys a link here shortly. And so I'm going to show you how this works. So if you visit, you may need to ask for this to be turned on in your own. In Screencastify itself, app.screencastify.com. In fact, I'll put the whole URL there. In case you've asked for this before, app.screencastify.com/submit. You won't need this to try this out today, but if you have a Chrome browser on the device you're working on, you may want to try this. So I've created this. Check it out. We create a new assignment. In short, here's how it works. I create a magical link. The kids click on the link, and they can record their screen. They don't need the extension. They don't need an account. They don't need anything. And all the videos go into my Google Drive. It's really super cool. And so it makes it really easy to have kids really record their screen, their microphone, to really explain some of their thinking. Maybe it's a piece of writing they did, maybe it's a presentation they did, maybe it's a news article that they read, and or whatever. Maybe they're demonstrating a math problem that they did, and that's a little tougher to do digitally, but they might want to elaborate on their thinking in many different ways to explain their ideas. And so Screencastify just makes it so cool. So here's basically, in fact, why don't I, before I show you how we do this, I will just give you this link and I will share it with you. It is on slide 4, if you're in the slide deck here, but let me just put it in so in theory, when you click on that link, it's gonna open up. It may ask you to sign in with Google. Now I'm going to turn my camera off. All right, turn on mic. You'll have to give it permissions. And then basically how it works is you just hit the record button and pick your screen if you've got 2 of them, and away you go. You can start doing a screen recording. Give a little countdown. This is my screen recording, and I am recording my screen. This is our SCED page. So whenever I want, I just hit stop recording, and then it sends it. If you'd like to try it out, give it a shot. Okay, you have that link there, and I'll stop talking at the moment, but basically it has now put that in my Google Drive. And while you're doing a screen recording, if anybody wants to try this out, I will just stop talking for a second and let you do that. Meanwhile, I'm going to open up my Google Drive. Yes, Jeffrey, you can. You can do that. There is a way to unlock the free features. Now, I haven't tested this. There is the coupon code, Jeffrey, in your own Screencastify if you'd like to unlock sort of those unlimited features. They've unlocked them until I believe the end of May, possibly into June. So that cast_COVID account used to work. Well, this particular link, your Barb S has asked me, do you have to create your own link? Yes, you would need to go to Screencastify to submit. So let me just show you what that looks like. So if you go to here, if you'd like to request this feature, if you don't have it already, Let me just show you how this works. Anybody recording their screen still? So you can request early access and then it'll just show up on your account. Oh, look at that. It's going to be available to educators. It's eventually going to be a paid feature, but they're going to give it to us for free till the end of June. So you just have to request it. And then basically it's app.screencastify.com/submit. Here's how I created the assignment. I went to new assignment. You give it a title. I'll call it Danny Sample. Any instructions you want, which would show up with the link. Now you can decide just a webcam and microphone, screen and microphone. So it really depends what you want. You can pick one or the other, not webcam, screen, and microphone, apparently, just one or the other. So the screen or the webcam, which is the most important. So once you've decided that, do you want email notifications? Let's see if I've gotten any email notifications. Anybody? Let's see if anybody has submitted any Screencastify recordings yet. Not yet. Did anybody try this out with that link, that magic link? Does anybody need the link again? So you can decide, do you want email notifications every time somebody fills it in or not? Do I want to? Look at this. It's going to show up in a Google Drive folder, all of the recordings. So I can decide, do I want all the submitters to be able to see all the videos? Or is it just something private for me, the teacher, to find out what the student wants to know? So you decide that. Oh yeah, I've got at least one other one. So let me just go show you where this is going to live. I'll finish up how you do this assignment here. So you make your choices, what you want, you go next, and then check it out. All right, Mr. Bork, I will get you that link shortly. It is on slide 4. Here, let me just get it for you. Oh, thank you, Dave. So on Screencastify, submit. There we go. So basically, I created that assignment. It gives me a link here. I just copy it, and wherever I put that link, people will now be able to do it. Look, there's a Google Classroom button. If you are a Google Classroom user, then you can just automatically post it in Google Classroom. Okay? So however you had set up that link, that is exactly what would happen with that particular assignment. Now, let me just hit done here. Let me go, oh, look at that. One submission here. So I'm going to, if I click that, it'll go straight to the Google Drive folder. It came in. All right, Megan, you probably didn't realize I'd be showing this. So I'm not going to show your response on live webinar. Wouldn't be right. But basically, yeah, anytime people submit their responses, they just show up in the folder. Now, I did not put in the assignment the ability for all of you. Oh, okay, it was just my voice. Darn it. I tried to be quiet to let people record. Yeah, so basically you can decide whether you want everybody to see that folder or not. So that link, once again, is app.screencastify.com/submit. And if you wanted to ask for that service, you could just go to screencastify.com. I'll put the link in again, into the products/submit. All right, just go under products and go to submit, and then just say request early access. Brand new, as of like a month ago, basically. So it's a very cool tool for student collaboration. I've got a short video on slide 5, which basically shows the overall process, not an in-depth. But I've also got a link down here in slide 5 to some frequently asked questions. Does it work in other browsers? What if I'm on Safari? What on a Mac? What if I'm on an iPad, etc.? So it does, it does just work on the Chrome browser. I won't go through all of these, but you can see some of the other frequently asked questions there if you're curious about those as well. Okay. All right. So the second tool we want to look at today is Google Classroom questions. Okay. Now this may be old news to most of you, so I won't take too long to show this, other than the fact that the question assignment is really an underutilized tool. In Google Classroom under classwork, I can go create and a question, okay? A really great way for kids to elaborate on their thinking is by posing questions, like questions, how questions, or why questions. Okay, why does this happen? How does this work? Or explaining, asking kids to provide examples of certain things related to that particular topic. Being able to use a term in a sentence, those kind of things. So you can pose questions of all types. Very simple to do. And short answer is a great way to let kids then type their responses. If we don't want kids to go back and forth in a threaded discussion and see each other's responses, you're going to uncheck this. I'm in the question creation tool in Google Classroom. You're going to uncheck that. And just that way, it's just you and the student. They're just sharing back. This is your exit ticket, or to let me know what you know about something. They can, or you can, add in other resources from your Google Drive, a link, a file, upload, YouTube if you want. It doesn't do like an assignment. It doesn't do where you can make a copy for each student. So there are other ways to do elaboration. I'll show you another example in Google Classroom here shortly from an awesome resource from Julie Stern. She's a real world leader in concept-based learning and in learning transfer. So being able to take an idea you have or understand a concept you have and apply it, that learning, and extend that to new situations. You can also have the kids create on the fly. If just the typed answer is not what you want, they have more options, but it's very easy. A question, and then they can just do a short answer. It's a wonderful tool. You can make it worth marks or not. You can also have a multiple choice one. And so it's not like a quiz where you have to select which answer is correct or not, but you would be able to see from that multiple choice which students, if it were a knowledge question you wanted to test. But I would recommend the short answer if you really want students to elaborate on that thinking. Now, if students have a mobile device and access to a mobile device, it becomes very easy now when the student opens this up. When the student on their Google Classroom app on a phone or an iPad, if they're answering the question and they hit this little paper clip for attachment, they can access their camera. So they can either take a picture or they can record a video right on the spot, right through the Google Classroom app. It's a really nice way for kids to elaborate, not with their typing, okay? So those are some options, but for me, if I were to use Google Classroom question, I'm going to use the short answer. If I really want to find out what students understand about a particular thing, I'm going to ask them a question, probably a how or why question, to get them to really explain in great detail. And then right in Google Classroom here, and just use their typing, okay? Can they create videos on Chromebooks? Sure they can. They can use any, well, they can't, there is no built-in way in Google Classroom. Sorry, Luke. I really wish that was a feature. It's a wonderful feature of the mobile apps, but there isn't a button where they can just start recording a video as a response, which is a real shame because it would be a really killer feature if they have that on in their Chrome browser. And I don't see how hard it would be, but for whatever reason they don't. But for students using other tools like the camera app on their Chromebooks, there's a camera app, or any other recording options they might have on their device that they're using, they can then they can hit add and then upload a file, or hit it from their Google Drive to add that in there as well if you want further elaboration. So that's an option for that. So that's Google Classroom question. Before we go on, I want to show you a really great set of resources from an outstanding educator and specialist, Julie Stern. Let me just copy her Twitter. She is awesome. She's done a lot of work in Alberta too, actually. I know some of your school divisions might be working with her. I know the Alberta Regional PD Consortium brought her in on a number of occasions. Some school divisions are working directly with Julie as well. The reason I wanted to share this with you is we can think up some strategies for having students elaborate. I talked about how and why questions, but there are other ways too. For example, and she's given, I've given a link on slide 7. She has a bit.ly. I'll put that in the group chat now as well, if you're not in this Google Slides right now. bit.ly/digital-templates, capital D, capital T. And she's given some good strategies in here, as well as some templates. If you're using Google Classroom, this is why I thought I'd mention it here. This might be useful. So this is the concept attainment, but the one I wanted to focus on was Frayer Model. So that's where you, in a Frayer model, you would give a concept, you'd have students define it, give some attributes, some examples, and some non-examples, okay? So that, it's a different way of elaborating through this graphic organizer. And so in Google Classroom, I can, instead of using the question format, what I could theoretically do is pose a question in an assignment and then use this type of attachment template, graphic organizer, to have students elaborate in that and give a copy for each student. So in this particular example, grade 6, science, trees and forests, we've learned about the difference between deciduous and coniferous trees right out of the program of studies. And I'll have students fill in this Frayer model graphic organizer in Google Drawings. They can add in words, they can add in images very easily, shapes, etc. And they can fill in this and send it back to me through Google Classroom. So it's another way, and Julie's got lots of these great. There's another good one here as well, Four Corners Digital, SEEI. Anybody use this before? This is a very interesting activity structure. State, elaborate, exemplify, illustrate. So she's got an example as well as a template there. There you go. Dave O has given a good suggestion for doing that right in a Google slide. Thank you for that. So those are some ways that you can then, instead of just saying, okay, well, just talk to me about what you know, you can give kids a little bit more direction on how you want them to elaborate, such as asking those how and why questions, such as an activity structure like the Frayer model or SEEI, and include a template if you wish to as well. So that's some great stuff from Julie Stern. She's also got in here, she's also posted recently a really nice end of the year planner. Down here, end of the year planner. So here's what that looks like. It's like, okay, you don't have a lot of time left, 2 months, less than 2 months. This just allows you to do some planning. Or what are some of the big concepts and ideas I want to hit before the end of the year? And that way it helps you focus on what you want the students to then later on elaborate. So that's great. It's a great resource from her, and I believe if you've got her Twitter, I believe in the example I've given here, that template is there. But I'll also give my email address at the end in case there's anything you missed or you didn't get a link for. Just drop me a quick email. I'll be happy to send. So that is a good option for the Google Classroom, whether it's a question or whether you're posing that question as an assignment. But I just like that quick and dirty, get in, not dirty, just quick and easy, the Google Classroom question tool and with a short answer. Very quick and easy way to just get something back from the kids in terms of what they know. All right, let's move on. We're almost at the halfway point. Okay, so Flipgrid is another wonderful tool. It's like it was built for student elaboration and using their voice through their webcam or their mobile app to explain their thinking through any of the number of ways we've talked about thus far. But so I want to share with you a sample Flipgrid, and I would love for you to join me if you wish to try this out and elaborate. I'm just kind of a general prompt here. How's it going with remote learning? It's a prompt I did earlier this year. So here is a link that if I share with you the first link, this means you would be signing in with a Google or Microsoft account to leave a response. Now, I'll go guest mode. if you'd like a guest mode, this is going to make it, you wouldn't do guest mode with your students, but this is just for you to make it easy. If you'd like to do a quick and dirty response without, why do I keep saying that? Anyways, you want to do a quick response without having to sign in or create an account or anything like that, use the guest mode link. So I'll be quiet. Actually, wait, before you do one, for those people who are not quite familiar with what we're actually talking about here, let me demonstrate. So on that link, we hit the green plus. I'm going to close my mic at the moment. I can put my name. This is the guest mode link, okay? We would make it much more challenging for students to access this, such that no stranger danger would come in and record something you wouldn't want. All right. So very quickly and easily, this screen recorder opens up through the webcam, makes it very easy for me to hit the record button. I can have, in guest mode, they limit you to 1 minute, but when you set up a Flipgrid, you can make it longer if you want. But I kind of like the idea of keeping it short. You can add any number of other, there are some color filters and things like that. If you want students to be anonymous, or if students don't feel comfortable being on camera, they can choose this pixel version to kind of make themselves anonymous. All right. They can add some words over the page. There's some new features here recently to Flipgrid. For those of you who know Flipgrid, things like arrows. They've added in a whole bunch of arrow stickers if you want them to point to anything. There's also a new whiteboard, blackboard mode. So if I go whiteboard or I choose blackboard, doesn't really matter. I can now use my ink and text and everything to explain my thinking that way. Okay, that is an option. And finally, this is a brand new feature. Remember how we had Screencastify Submit where students could record their desktop? Well, that's now available in Screencastify as well. So if I hit the 3 dots for video options, I can go screen recording, and now I can pick a screen, and 3, 2, 1, here we go. This is my Flipgrid screen recording, and I can share any number of things I want on my screen, including my webcam. I hit stop sharing, and then there it is, right in Flipgrid. So it is a piece of cake, very easy tool to use. And I hit next, and then you'll be forced to do a selfie. You can also cover up your selfie with a sticker if you prefer, and then it'll post to that Flipgrid. So if you would like to try this, I'm going to delete this. But if you would like to try this, oh, Angela, right on. We've got some people trying this out. If you'd like to give this a shot, here's that guest mode link. You can try it out. All right, so we've got a couple people recording, doing a quick recording. Look at you, Angelo, outside, man. That's awesome. It's a beautiful day. So this is a wonderful way to get students to elaborate on their thinking. And for those of you who want to learn more about Flipgrid, let's say this is going way too fast for you, and you need kind of how do I get started? I've done a Flipgrid session in the past. Here is a link to those slides, and here is a link to the recording, where I can give you some advice on how to get started and how to set things up and how to create some great discussion topics or student elaboration topics. So when you think about any of the prompts we talked about for the Google Classroom one, how and why questions, providing examples of a particular topic, showing similarities or differences, examples, non-examples, there's all sorts of ways, using a particular idea in a sentence. There are lots of ways where we can get students to really start elaborating on that thinking. And I encourage you to be specific with students on how you want them to elaborate. I'm kind of trying to be quiet because I don't know if anybody's still trying to record the Flipgrid. All right, we've got a couple more. Wonderful. So if you're curious, you can go in there now that you've recorded. You can kind of watch some of these responses from other people. Oh, right on. This is great, you guys. We've got several people recording in here. So I'm going to move on at this point, but just so you know that that option is available for you in terms of learning more about Flipgrid. Any questions thus far? Give you a moment in case you want to type a question about the Google Classroom question mode or a general question about Screencastify Submit. Is Flipgrid a FOIP problem? Talk to your school division, but the school division, I haven't heard it. I'm surprised actually how it's not a problem with most school division IT departments and FOIP departments. Adam, I know for sure in Edmonton Public, they've given the green light. My former school division was Edmonton Catholic. The reason why is there are a lot of great security measures you can put in. This tool is also owned by Microsoft, so it's a very trusted source. So when you, obviously I have set up this Flipgrid example with very, very, very loose, next to really nothing in terms of security measures. I'm giving you the guest mode. We would never do this with students, and there are ways that you can get very specific with students needing to enter in a school division email address. You can even create specific accounts for students such that they have their own password. So we can put lots and lots of parameters to prevent unwanted eyes. It's a very closed environment. I've made this one super open that you can even see it, but strangers would not be able to see these responses that students would give. There's also a way when you set up Flipgrid that, let me just show you. When you set up a particular Flipgrid topic, there is a way that you as the teacher can choose to moderate. Where is that? Perhaps I have already passed by it because I need to start a new topic. Let me just show you how that works. Yeah, so you can even choose parameters such that your students can't even see each other's responses. It is meant for class discussion and group discussion. So if I create a new topic here, you'll see I have some options here where I can choose video moderation, where the teacher has to accept and moderate a particular student response before it even gets posted. And if you never want students to see each other's responses, you just never approve those responses. Does that make sense? The advantage of Flipgrid over Screencastify, if you're using Flipgrid already, then it has an advantage if you want to do the screen recording. You can either do, it's very flexible in that regard. That would be what I would say about Flipgrid. There are ways to download these videos from Flipgrid. You can make mixtapes of several responses from one particular student over time that you could combine together in one video. There's lots of different features that way. What's really good about Screencastify is its simplicity, and you know, give them a link and away they go. Nobody needs accounts, nobody needs any setups. I did say mixtape, my friend. The 80s called, the 90s called, they want their mixtape or mixed CD. Is mixed CD even a thing, or was it was mixed tape, right? We all had cassettes and we're, you know, winding it with our hand when the tape all comes out. Anyways, yeah, so in all seriousness though, we won't have time to go into all those features, but you can see right here, Flipgrid has a feature called mixtape where you can make a new mixtape and take a particular, there's all sorts of stuff you can do to combine lots and lots of different videos from a particular student. So really pros and cons. And again, here's the thing. I'm showing you 4 tools for student elaboration. You're not going to use all 4. You're going to probably pick 1 or maybe 2 tops that you feel best fit you and best fit your students. Okay? And there are lots of others. These are just 4, but we only have an hour. So, all righty. We're going to dodge on now, unless everybody else has any burning questions. Mixed CDs, Rachel says, also happen. Okay, I stand corrected, and that is fine. Do people even make playlists anymore and share them with each other? Is that a thing? Young teachers in the house. I'm going to be 50 in June, so this has passed me by. Maybe people can tell me. All right, so Lori, doing Flipgrid, not sure if you answered this question. Is there a resource to guide a teacher through? Oh my gosh, is there a resource to guide teachers through Flipgrid? Yes, indeed. Flipgrid itself has a ton of great resources. But my former colleague, Christine McKee, has made an outstanding website. She's from Edmonton Catholic. Great site on everything you wanted to know about Flipgrid and more. So she is phenomenal, and I hope she has her contact information on there. Oh, there it is. Yeah, at cmckee27, or email her for more information. You can also email me. You're very welcome. Okay. All right. So yes, apparently Spotify playlists are a thing. Look at that. Here I'm the old dude trying to program his VCR. Okay, fourth tool, everybody, Book Creator. I don't know if any of you had a chance to join me last week for the Book Creator webinar that I did. And I've got on slide 11 a link to the presentation and the recording. But we're going to just hop into Book Creator here. And you don't have to if you don't want to. But if you want to, I'll show you how easy it is. And we'll join into a collaborative book. You don't normally, you'd probably get kids to make their own and send them to you, so you could kind of unpack their thinking through these digital multimedia books. But we'll just do one together. We'll create, okay? All right, where am I? Here we go. All right, so you are going to go to, let me just load this up into a brand new app.bookcreator.com. Let me see, I want to be signed out. Sign out. So let me just show you this. If you'd like to create a page in my book, I promise to be kind and respectful. Now, please note this. When you go to app.bookcreator.com and you go to this sign-in page, please remember what's on by default is the student sign-in. Don't sign in as a student. Sign in as a teacher. So you can sign in with Google or Office 365, or if you prefer, there's even a Clever option. I don't know if I think there might be a couple districts using Clever as their sign in. You can also create an account just with an email address. I suggest Google, but there are others. So once you sign into that, now again, you might not want to try this here live with me, but if you want to, it's app.bookcreator.com. Do the sign in. I'm going to show you something now. In here, I've got, this is how easy it is to get other people to join my library. What we're going to do is you're going to click, once you get into app.bookcreator.com, anybody with me here? I'm going to try it out. Look in the upper left-hand corner, the three little lines. Some people call it pancake stack. Some people call it hamburger menu. Some people call it the three lines menu. Look down for shared with me and choose join a library. Join a library. This is what your students would do if you want them to join your class library. Everybody gets one free library. By the way, you have a private library. That's not where you want, but you have a shared library. So anyways, we're going to join you're going to join a library today. And you're going to join my library. Okay, I'll give you the code here. And when you choose join a library, it'll ask you for a code. That code is right here. 6HSLMTH. So if you are interested in joining my library and joining a blank page, I invite you to do so. How's that working out for everybody? Again, if you want to just watch, that's totally cool too. This isn't meant to stress you out. Sometimes just trying stuff actually really helps you remember it, learn it. All right, people are in. So once you join that library, find the one that says Elaboration, Your Playground. It should be the first book there. Just click on the little pencil to open it up. Now you can go page by page, but I'm going to click up here to Pages. Chrome isn't opening it. Darn it. Sorry, Kathy. So app.bookcreator.com, and then you click the pancake stack, join a library. All right, so here is my shared, these are all the pages. There's somebody else on this page, Winston. So you can pick an open page. I've got a whole bunch. I also have, starting at about page 30, there are some example pages, but try to pick an open page between pages 2 and 29. Just keep going until you see nobody else there, and then you just basically claim it for yourself. All right, there we go. We've got 3 or 4 people in this thing here now. If you don't mind, I'm going to choose page 2. All right. Does anybody need anything? If it's either worked or it hasn't worked, oh, Winston's on slide 2 as well, or page 2. If you don't mind, Winston, I'm going to keep this one. If you don't mind checking out number 3 or page 4 or a different page. So basically, here's how easy it is to start adding content to it. There's a little plus button, and what you can add in are all sorts of media. All sorts of media. It's a really great thing to just try out. You can import files. You can record from your camera, whether it's video or a still picture. You can have kids hold up a diagram, hold up a map, hold up a piece of writing, hold up a math problem, capture it on their camera. Then use things like the microphone to record themselves talking about it, elaborating on it. There's text. But even this import alone, you can import all sorts of stuff. Files, upload, anything from your Google Drive. There's even embed. So if you wanted to embed a YouTube video, or that wouldn't really work super well for students elaborating on their own thinking, but just know that you have plenty of options with respect to students creating multimedia here to really explain their ideas and thinking, okay? Now, once you've added something in, I'm just going to add in, there's media, there's comics, there's shapes. So here's the thing. Once you add in, let's say text. This is my text. Look, there's even a little microphone here to voice narrate, sort of speech to text if they need that. So once you have something, now instead of the plus button, once you've added something and clicked on something, the only other thing to really remember here is the little I button, the inspector. This is contextual. Whatever you click on, it's going to be specific to that. So I've put in some text. Now it gives me a whole bunch of text options here. If I put in a shape or a picture or an audio recording, oh, Jeff, you're on page 2 as well, I see. Live real-time collaboration, that is also a paid feature, but they've made that free for the next month. So yeah, hello there, Jeff. So yeah, so if you click now, Jeff, on that shape and then choose the little I, now you'll see some options just for that specific thing you've put in. Does that make sense? So if I choose to add from media a recording with my microphone, 3, 2, 1, this is my microphone recording on my book creator. All right, I'm going to use it. It'll just upload it, and then it'll just be this little icon here. Now, when I hit the I, see, it's something specific to this particular item. So the 2 main buttons to remember in Book Creator are the plus and the I. Now, it kind of freaks teachers out not being super comfortable with this tool. You can tune back to my slides, tune back to the webinar if you want. Book Creator themselves have a tremendous number of support resources, example books, how-tos, videos, project ideas, tons of stuff. But kids, rest assured, all you need to do is just set them wild. They'll go. They'll learn how to use this, trust me. There's also an iPad app for Book Creator, but the iPad app and the web app do not talk to one another. So your kids are going to need probably a Chrome browser for this. I'm not 100% positive on it being a Chrome, having to be a Chrome browser. Maybe somebody else knows. Can't get in either. Sorry, Rachel. Sorry to hear about that. So that was, once again, it was app.bookcreator.com. And if you were able to create your own account, then you're going to click the little pancake stack. You're going to choose Join a Library. And I'll just, while we're finishing talking about Book Creator, I'll put that code up here again. Yeah, thanks, Carolyn. I agree. It's super fun. So now we can really hone in on getting kids to explain their thinking. Now, I don't know. Would you get kids to make their own book and share those books with you? Or would you just do a collaboration thing here where you give every kid a page? There's pros and cons, right? The free account for Book Creator lets you have 40 books in one free library. Now, what's super cool, let's say you've got 25 kids and they each make a book. Well, now you're down to 15 books left. You can actually combine books. So I can take those 40 books and combine them all together into one big book and then get rid of all the individual books. Now it's just one book, 39 more to go. So there's a ability to combine a book. Look, if you want to make a copy of my book here, this playground one, or you want to, you know what, the big book creator, go to this little book options here and go copy book. And then now it's a copy in your library. So there are a lot of features here. That collaboration feature, by the way, once you've created a book, it's under the share options. I don't believe there is, Adam, a limit for the number of pages. They said something, I think I watched a webinar from Book Creator about a week ago, and the guy said something like after about 1,500 pages, it starts to really wig out, but it's very powerful. It's a very high number of pages, far more than we would ever need. So that's great. Now, you haven't learned all there is to learn about Book Creator, not by a long shot, but what I wanted you to see is just kind of get a flavor. Let's go here and see if anybody's made some pages. Look at that. Isn't that cool? So you've seen just a snapshot of what this tool can do. And hopefully through the lens of getting kids to really explain and elaborate on their thinking that you can use as a teacher as a formative assessment tool. It has a grid paper. Oh yeah, we didn't even get into the backgrounds and the types of paper. There's all sorts of stuff. By the way, when you go to create a new book, this was a great suggestion. I'm gonna go back to my books and I'm gonna go new book. Watch this tip here for a second, everybody. This is a really good one by the Book Creator guy, John, can't remember his name. He's awesome. When you create a new book, choose one of the comic ones. And you know why? If you choose a regular book here that's not a comic, you won't have any of the comic options. If you do choose a comic book, then you can add things in like panels, if you want to divide it up, speeches, these stickers, special text, you have that option. But if you don't, if you just create a regular book, you'll just see media and shapes. All right. So that's a final tip on Book Creator. We have 9 minutes left. I want to share with you a couple more ideas on elaboration itself. Here's a great resource. Guess what, everybody? Elaboration, when students have to explain their thinking, it actually helps them learn it better. So not only is this going to be a way for you to see inside the student's mind, but every time a student has to explain and elaborate on their thinking, that learning gets stronger, it gets more durable, and it gets better and more long-lasting, okay? Every single time they have to explain. You know why? Because they're pulling their connections in from their background knowledge. It just forces them to rethink through the ideas they have. So on slide 12, I've got a great resource here from the learning scientists. If you've been to some of the other sessions where I've talked about some of this cognitive psychology stuff, I refer to them all the time. This is some great stuff. It's free. There's this poster here. I'll choose the color poster here. This is good for you, good for students. I'll just zoom in on it a little bit here so you can see it. Give some tips for how to elaborate, and not elaboration as a formative assessment strategy, but elaboration as a learning strategy. Oh, come on, read and write. Don't fail me now. We got a group of people here. Let's see if the old refresh helps. Speaking of read and write, tomorrow, same time, Will from Text Help and Kim are going to do a free webinar on the whole read and write toolbar. I'm really sorry I didn't get that out until yesterday. That's my bad. Anyways, this elaboration tool from the learning scientists really gives some great steps for walking people through how to do a good job of elaborating on your thinking. So check that out. They also have lots of different they've got YouTube videos, blog posts, bookmarks, PowerPoint slides, the whole gamut. And that's just one strategy. There are all sorts of strategies that they have for learning in their downloadable materials on a whole bunch of other different learning strategies. Elaboration is one of them. All right. Now, another really important thing I want to leave you with before we leave here today is this. You want to be really clear with students. If you want them to elaborate on something, you have to be really clear with them about what it is, what the goal is, okay? And I've got a slide here which kind of does a screenshot on a Google Classroom intro. So where I've put in a learning intentions and success criteria. And I know a lot of you are already there doing that kind of thing, but be clear in those learning intentions when you start your lessons. Not what we're doing today, but what is it you want them to learn? Okay, what is the learning intention, really? So not this is what we're doing today, but this is what I need you to learn, okay? And how will you know if you're successful? And list off some of those criteria. And it's actually a really good way for you as a teacher to really sort out in your head with those remaining big kind of topics or concepts you've got left to do this year. It'll really help you sort that out as well. What are the big rocks you need to hit before the end of the year? How will you know that the students are successful? That way, once, for example, here's one I did for grade 6 science for the space theme, and I've included the moon's phases. I pulled this right out of the program of studies, so I can name the phases of the moon throughout the month. I can explain why only parts of the moon are seen throughout the month. So now there's a great prompt. I can do a question, whether it's through Google Classroom question, Flipgrid, Screencastify, Book Creator, whatever. Why are only parts of the moon seen throughout the month? Please explain. So thanks, Barb. Yeah, so be very clear with what you want students to do and how they will be successful. It's easier said than done. It's not easy, but it's a really good way for you to really focus and be kind of laser focused in on what you need to get accomplished. Might save you from trying to rush through too much other stuff you don't necessarily have as priorities for the remainder of the year. So it might take a little bit of planning work up front, but it might save you some stress and extra planning down the road. So that is it, everybody. It is 1:56. I'll stick around for any questions you might have. Please disregard these other slides here. I recycled a couple slides. So thank you so much. We've looked at 4 tools today for elaboration, and I hope that's been useful for you. This session will be recorded. Hit the stop button on that, on the recording.